1 minute as it goes to the land of YouTube. In 1 minute. All right, see, there I am talking to myself. All right. Okay, let me, 2 more people to let in. Okay, so it is officially 11:30. So good morning, good early afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us on this unbelievably beautiful day and week that we have here on Camano Island. The weather is just fabulous. So I thank you for being in front of your computer screens for this little bit instead of out soaking up some vitamin D. And we are thrilled to have Sherry Wyatt with us today from Whidbey Camano Island Tourism. So I'm going to introduce her in a second. But I do want to ask you all, if you are not speaking, if you could just mute yourselves so that we don't have too much background noise going on. If you do have a question during the presentation, you can just put it in the chat box and I will read the questions to Sherry. And then at the end, we will have time for any announcements. I have some from the chamber. I know that Carol from Movement Art Studio has some announcements. So if you have any announcements that you want to make, just let me know in the chat so that I make sure to get to you at the end of the meeting. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Sherry. And Sherry Wyatt's the Public Relations and Marketing Manager for Island County Tourism, which represents both Whidbey and Camano Islands. She's also the film liaison for Island County and was appointed by Governor Inslee to serve a second term on the Washington Filmworks Board of Directors. In addition, she was also recently assigned as the coordinator of the Whidbey Scenic Isleway. So she wears a lot of hats, and she began working with the Tourism Committee in 2010. So 11 years with the Tourism Committee. So Sherry is a wealth of knowledge. I enjoy working with her really closely in terms of developing tourism for both Whidbey and Camano Islands. She has a great relationship with all of the chambers of commerce on Whidbey as well as us, and works really hard to get any of the press that you see most of the time about our events or Camano Island in general come from the hard work that Sherry puts in. So thank you, Sherry, for everything that you do for us here on Camano Island. And I will hand it over to you.
You are most welcome. All right, ready to share screen. Okay. So I put together a few slides just to share with you. Thank you so much for this opportunity to present. Just a little overview of kind of where things are at with Whidbey and Camano Islands tourism. So first of all, how are we funded and organized? Many of you may know, but I thought it was important just to kind of refresh that we are funded from a special 2% lodging tax that was put on by the hotels on themselves, and that's all the lodging. So that does include, the Airbnbs, the VRBOs. Everyone now is collecting this tax, and a portion of that is coming to our committee. We're funded by an interlocal agreement. So it's between unincorporated Island County and the 3 main towns on Whidbey Island of Oak Harbor, Coopville, and Langley. We're considered what's called a DMO, or a destination marketing organization. And DMOs are a little different than a chamber in some cases. In an area where they don't have a regional branding organization like us, that chamber may serve as the DMO. But in some cases, it's even several counties and cities that are within one body that's a DMO, like the Olympic Peninsula, for example, has several different towns and counties. We're kind of lucky, I think, that it's just one county and the 3 towns, the 2 islands, because that way we can really work closely together. So our committee meets monthly, and we're fully transparent. Every dollar we spend is reviewed by 18 different members of our committee. And that's a pretty big committee. It's representing all of the towns. Our chairman is one of the county commissioners. And we have lodging representatives from throughout the islands. And on Camano Island, it's Jessica and Deb that are representing both the chamber and the lodging. So all of the chambers have representation on our committee. So it's a pretty vibrant group. Like I said, we meet monthly, and then the officers also meet monthly. So we have a lot of conversations and interaction in between meetings as well. And the things that we do, just some of the highlights. We have a website, it's whidbeycamanoislands.com. Just recently, we added a book direct piece on that website so people can search our website lodging and actually go directly to lodgings and book through a booking mechanism that shows you what's available. And that's kind of exciting. We're expanding that. And we do a lot of social media. We just recently increased our Instagram presence by contracting with Erin Osborne of Osborne Northwest Public Relations. She handles media relations and helps with PR. And we have Facebook and Twitter as well. I wrote coalitions up there so I wouldn't forget to tell you how much we work with all of our neighboring destinations so that we can, speak directly to the public outside of our community with a larger voice. So we work with the San Juan Islands, with the Olympic Peninsula, with the Port of Seattle, just as Camano Island does. We're just kind of always looking for those partnerships to leverage our dollars and to speak more clearly in one voice with the same messaging. It's really helpful when we're trying to reach someone, say, internationally, for example. So mention media relations because we do get a lot of press, and that's due in part to the good work of Erin Osborne, who I know Jessica's worked with closely, and she's continually seeking story ideas. So every quarter we send out a story pitch list to media, and then we host media as well on both islands. Film liaison, that was mentioned as well already, but I'm going to tell you a little bit right now. There is a film that's scouting on Camano Island as well as on Whidbey Island for a feature film. It's more of an independent film, but it is a haunting story. And some of the people that are in it are recognizable to some degree. I mean, if you're watching any Netflix, some of them are popping up on several different Netflix series. So it's kind of exciting. They were scouting just last weekend on both Camano and Whidbey. We put together the official map that is on the ferries, and it's distributed throughout the state. Right now, distribution is down a little bit. We're just kind of not certain of how many people are actually picking up things. So we have a lot of maps if anybody needs any. We also place display and digital advertising. It's important, to keep our message out, but we're trying to find new ways. So we do sponsored content as well, where we might write the story and pay to have it published on a website, say by Seattle Magazine or Seattle Met, or through Scenic Washington, or other different e-newsletters. So we're focusing on a lot of different ways to get our message out, but there's a lot of thought and care that goes into the planning. And Jessica's been involved for several years now, so has Deb, in that process, and has watched how much we think through everything we do. And then on occasion, something really fun and wild just comes up and we'll do a promotion. Right now, we're doing a giveaway of a 2-night stay on Camano Island, and that's on our website. And that's a way kind of just to harvest more email addresses. So we do that every quarter, and right now it's Camano that we're featuring. But COVID hit, have to talk about COVID because it changed the landscape and it changed our focus. We first had to come out, and we're still kind of hesitant about this visit us later approach, that maybe it's not the right time. So we immediately set out a campaign to do that. We continued to work in partnerships, but we found new ones and more of them. And I started meeting weekly, and Jessica's on the same call. It's a Island County Economic Recovery Task Force, and that includes all the port districts, the town mayors, the county commissioners, the chambers, the Main Street associations. It's a pretty good, hardworking group, and it's managed by the EDC, the Economic Development Council. So I mentioned we came out, first of all, with this sort of virtual campaign. It provided us an opportunity to kind of repurpose a lot of videos that we'd already done. We do a lot of videos. I meant to mention that videos are important. And I know Jessica just worked with Jack, our videographer, to do some for Northwest Glass Quest. So they were the Mythbusters for Glass Quest, and that was something that he worked on with her. So the Escape It All campaign actually was kind of neat because it was picked up immediately by the Port of Seattle and Visit Seattle, who have overseas offices that were, feeling really sad and had nothing to say except, you can't come here right now. So they were pushing forward all of our Escape It All, and it was even written about in the Washington Post as an example of a destination that's really moved quickly. It was by Memorial Day. We had a lot of things already out there in April and May to promote our destination as a place to dream about, come later. So through that Monday meeting I mentioned with the County Recovery Task Force, we started talking about some kind of a character that might represent, safety messaging in a way that was more approachable, like a Smokey the Bear kind of character. So we created Gail the Whale, Scott Rosenkrantz, who is our graphic design person for Rosenkrantz Productions, and used Gail through messaging to support local restaurants. Island Transit picked up, put it on the buses. It just was another way that was really representing us. Those whales that go through the Saratoga Passage are kind of iconic for our destination. So that worked really well. And Gail continues to have new life of her own. But through recovery funding, we also knew that local businesses needed an extra lift and support. And we really wanted to encourage people to shop local. I mean, it was an international movement and nationwide, all of these small communities and destinations were saying, hey, stay home, shop local, support who's here, especially those businesses that are dependent on tourism that were, not seeing the traffic because of course people, just weren't coming as much as they used to. So we applied essentially through the county for some recovery funding, and it paid for us to do a revamp of our website, which included just about every local business and merchants. We did a lot of we did a whole catalog. We did a lot of advertising, worked closely with everyone to promote this idea of shopping local. And it went really well. So it went really well. We're happy to be a part of that. And people did see a boost in business through that campaign. So you may have received that catalog in your mail. But one of the things we decided to repurpose some of our budget towards was more data and better research. We weren't placing as much advertising, so it made sense to this year, really focus on getting better data. So we again got the Dean Runyon report, which the state no longer is providing destinations. We used to get that through the state, through our Washington Tourism Alliance partnership. So we're buying that ourselves. We also are now getting something called C-Source, and I'll give you a tiny little bit of a look at that. And then something else called Air DNA, which is going to tell us about the lodgings throughout the counties that aren't necessarily as traditional, that are definitely doing a lot of business, and that'll be good information for us to help with our marketing. So Dean Runyon, this is showing how sad last year was. I mean, it was definitely a bad year. You can see we were down in all categories of spending. These are the direct travel impacts of checks, receipts that come through. We were at 250 million in spending, visitor spending in 2019, and then 2020 was down to 205. I don't know how well we're going to recover this year. It feels like we're on track. It feels like there's a lot of pent up demand for travel when it's right. I think we're going to see, we're going to bounce back. But right now, this is a good chance for you to take a look at really what happened in direct travel impacts. Then, based on room tax receipts, sales tax figures, business pattern data, and short-term lodging data, this is what Dean Runyon is telling us what percentage of the total brought in is unincorporated. And Camano falls into unincorporated. Coupeville, Langley, and Oak Harbor are the three towns that are considered the incorporated. But unincorporated is a huge portion of the income really coming into our budget. And then the breakdown of the 69% of the 100% that's ours, that's unincorporated, Camano is 20% of that. So Camano is a big player and has a strong voice. But the other unincorporated are Clinton, Freeland, Green Bank, and then, of course, the whole unincorporated area that doesn't fall under any local community. Some more Dean Runyon travel spending information. This shows kind of a pie chart way of looking at the spending. And, Oak Harbor definitely is where a lot of people spend money on this island and between the two islands. And Camano is at 6% of the total travel spending, according to Dean Runyon's chart. So this is an interesting chart. This is kind of the stuff we're going to be digging around in C-Source. And Jack Penland, who's the videographer and also our webmaster, will be meeting directly with you, Jessica, to walk through CSource and explain kind of what we can find and then find out what you need for us to help you find. This shows that 2020 was still pretty busy on Camano Island. This is just Camano. You can see the jump at like say week 7, which is getting into Glass Quest in 2020. You were still pretty busy in the summer with people here. You probably are aware of that, but it's surprising to see that red is 2020, the orange is 2019, the blue is 2018, and then the green is 2021, which is not up to the numbers yet. And then just another example of the kind of data we can find in CSource is showing the amount of return visitors versus, the repeat visitors versus the one time. And I think it's really good news to see how many are repeat visitors to Camano Island. That's who you want. I mean, people who understand you, who respect you, who feel a sense of stewardship towards the islands. They'd like to keep Camano, the way they remember visiting it. They care. It's their secret, so I think that's great to see the amount of repeat visitation. And even at over 1,000 miles, a third of those visiting are repeat visitors. I thought that was fascinating. It's a pretty high number. So those are some things from CSource. AirDNA, we haven't pulled up the data yet to share, but we'll be doing that as well next. So then we had another opportunity working with Island County to take this opportunity to encourage people to shop local. Again, the spring, this early, late winter, early springtime, we're still really seeing a need for people to stay here and not be out venturing off islands so much, but to stay in our county. So we did a campaign that's just launched last week before last, I think. Island Discoveries were something where we asked people to contribute to this guide. Discover Your Islands, the guide went out in the mail, and we have extra copies for anybody who needs it for any of your businesses, whether you're lodging or restaurants or realtors. We have extra copies. We also have a new decal to promote the campaign. And again, it includes all the elements like we did with the holiday guide, where we have not only the printed piece, but we also have the website and videos and other components. We're even sending things out to influencers who love to receive something from us and then go ahead and they videotape themselves. I don't call it videotape, but they record themselves opening the package and talk about what's inside and talk about their remembering their experiences on the islands or their hope to return. Oh, let me go back one. May not let me. There we go. So this was just a little bit more about the current guide and the campaign and that little shot of what the website looks like, and that's the back cover of the guide. Hopefully you've seen it. If not, we can certainly send you to our website to Discover Your Islands or to Whidbey Camano Islands. Either of those URLs will get you there. And some of our partners this time were the Economic Development Council of Island County, of course, Island County themselves, and then also Island Transit. And we, again, have things on the sides of the buses. This is on the back. We have the whale on the side, and we have this Discover Your Islands on the back. So that's kind of neat that we have this kind of partnership going on. Again, it's important to work together. And I mentioned we have new videos, and I'm going to close with a video that we did for a webinar that I just did with 50 travel writers from the International Food, Wine, and Travel Writers Association. So just like everyone else, we're doing a lot of things virtually, and we couldn't bring writers here. So we went ahead and put together a program for them. This is one of the videos from that.
The farm has been such a precious thing to our family and such a family treasure. And through our management and opening it up to the public, it's been really exciting to learn how important it is for everyone. I'm Mona Campbell, and I'm one of 5 family members that manage Christopherson Farm and Canopy Tours Northwest. The farm was purchased by my great-grandfather, who immigrated from Sweden in 1912. The property is about 231 acres, and We call it the farm, but it really incorporates kind of half farm, half forest, and a bunch of water. We view the farm as really a destination for all kinds of different activities. We have a zip line tour, we have a low challenge course for team building. We offer You Pick Lavender when it's in season in the summer, as well as our dinners in the barn, which really highlight the local produce and wonderful local chefs we have here. We sit inside this historic barn on the National Register, and it looks pretty rustic. We call it a rustic event space. The menus are developed about a couple weeks before each event. And I sit down with the chef and we talk about what's fresh, what's available right now, and then design the menu around that, and the wines, of course. We also have this giant festival in fall that celebrates pumpkins and all things fall, and it's really a giant community event. Our canopy tour is a zipline tour, and it is so fun. We go up into the woods, and there are 6 zip lines, a couple trail walks, a suspension bridge, and then at the very last platform, you are lowered from about 60 feet in the air to the platform on the grounds. Our mission here is really to support and preserve the farm, and we've got every dollar earmarked for some project, whether it's re-roofing the barn or improving our roads or our gate. So we're pleased to be able to have resources of our businesses to preserve it and maintain it.
So that is all I wanted to present, so we have plenty of time to answer questions. Here's my contact information, and I am certainly available to answer questions now as well as anytime you have anything you want to ask me or you want to talk about. Pretty responsive. Get a lot of comments, especially when you mail out a guide like we just did. We certainly had a lot of interaction with people. So I'm gonna stop sharing.
You, Sherry. And I feel like Sherry downplayed a little bit the amount of work that went into those guides, both the holiday one and the spring one. It was a monster of a project for this group of people to take on, especially the holiday one. They turned that thing around so quickly and during a time when every business needed support. So I just want to thank all of you that worked really hard on that, because both of them are amazing. And to be mailed to households on Island County, and print and a digital, the website has additional information. That was not in the scope of work of the Camano Island Tourism pre-COVID. So I just want everyone to know that that group of people really worked very hard, and Island County supported the efforts and EDC supported the efforts. It's an amazing thing that you guys did. So thank you for that.
Hey, one other thing I want to mention about the guide is that we did print an additional 40,000 to do a mailing off island and outside of the county. So we are looking through CSource to identify the best zip codes for that. And we'll be mailing those out. I think the 1st of May is, we feel it'll be fine then to do it.
And I did put this in the chat, but I have a box of them. I've been distributing them around Camano in the places that I know they'll get picked up. But if anybody wants a stack of them, just let me know. I'm happy to drop them off for you. We're waiting on the decals. But once we get those, we'll distribute those as well. So if anyone wants them, let me know.
We have window please too.
Yeah, the stickers. I think I put some at Tapped in the marketplace, and I think my stickers may be gone.
Okay, we'll get you more.
Yeah, we'll get more stickers. So we do have a couple questions. The first one was from Carol Mason. Is the travel spending strictly accommodation receipts, or does it include dining and other activities?
Actually, it includes everything. So it's everything. It's restaurants. And some of the spending, I think they even put in some grocery stores and gasoline for transportation. So if you have a gas station or grocery store, it tends to make your area look like a little more spending happening, because it is. So it's everything. It's not just lodging.
Includes it all. And then Milt was asking, how is the tourist data collected?
So for Dean Runyon, they have a system, they have a formula that they just know how to do. With C-Source, it's actually through credit cards and cell phone data, and it's a little eerie, I think, because we're going to be able to drill down pretty closely to see how long someone stayed and what they did while they stayed, and then we can respond by targeting them through website advertising, digital advertising, kind of that, I don't know, it's a little creepy, but it's really good data. I mean, it does help us know who's coming and what they're doing while they're here, so that we can really focus our marketing to those
And
things.
we've been on conference calls with C-Source and some of the other companies that do that, and it is very interesting, because if you have a cell phone, everybody knows I mean, they know everything, where you are, where you're spending money, how long you've been there, where you came from. From a tourism perspective, it's great because then we can target those people to come back. But it is interesting, and I'm happy to share. I can share the Dean Runyon report, right, Sherry?
Yeah, absolutely.
So when I upload the recording of this video and Sherry's PowerPoint stuff, I will share the full report, most recent Dean Runyon report that we have received. So I'm going to ask Janet. Janet had a couple questions. So Janet St. Clair, I think you'd be better off asking the question yourself.
So I think Carol touched on one of my questions, which was trying to understand, and granted, I got a preview of the Dean Runyon report, but you talked about Camano being 6% of the travel spending, but on page 6 of the Runyon report, it says we're 20% of impact, travel impact, which I assume is sales and revenue. So those two numbers were confusing to me.
Yeah, I agree. I looked at that and hesitated sharing, but this is what Dean Runyon has said. The 20% of the unincorporated is, I think, more on lodging, and that the travel spending, that 6%, I think is more because Oak Harbor and Freeland were so big. That's including more of things like gasolines and grocery stores. And that's how I interpret it, because that's why Freeland would be so big. If you included, banks.
It makes sense, but I'm not. But the question I would ask is, which one is a more accurate representation of how people move through, as tourists, move through our communities? And I guess part of me thinks it's the impact, and not did I fill up my gas and then drive off island and go into Skagit Valley and through the Tulip Festival and all the other stuff, right?
Right.
Spending in our counties. My second question was, we had the sales. I'd encourage you to take a look at the sales tax data, because it was very informative of where money's coming in, right? And we have had very strong retail sales tax data that says our economy's done well from a retail sales perspective. Some of that's online, but we can suss that out. But the piece that has me concerned for our community, especially as a community that's dependent on tourism, is the data on our lodging. And our restaurants are recovering, but our lodging is not recovering at the same rate. And so I don't know if you have ideas about how we can shore up. And I liked the graph that talks about in your PowerPoint, the different types of accommodations. But I think getting people to come visit here and stay in our communities is important. So I welcome ideas on how we can, especially with future federal funding, we pass through a lot of money to you to help our economy. And I'd like to see how we can have a specific focus on ways in which we get people to stay on the islands.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I'm going to open that up to everyone who had ideas, but I think C-Source, it will help us identify people who stayed longer, and then what they did and why they stayed longer and where they stayed. I think we all know intuitively that people are finding less traditional lodging more attractive, so they can be on a house on a beach for a week versus a couple of nights in a city hotel, it just seems like it makes sense. People are interested in the outdoors. They want to be out where they can have some space and they can still have their own space. So that positions Camano in a really unique place, because so much of your lodging, even the cabins at Cama, even though they're maybe they're not as big. They're definitely really attractive and filling up fast. Obviously, I think you're already booked all the way through the summer.
Yeah, I think they are.
Yeah.
And I will add to that just anecdotally, the amount of phone calls that I am receiving right now to the chamber with lodging questions. I think people think that I'm like a VRBO helper or something. I mean, they want me to find them a house. It's insane how many phone calls. It's double what was happening previously. Everyone wants to, because I think they're having trouble finding VRBOs or Airbnbs to stay in. And so then they call me and ask me where they can stay. So I think we're seeing a lot of that. I don't know if anyone else has any other.
Yeah,
feedback.
I just wonder how many, I mean, I know some friends that have an Airbnb and they didn't take anybody in 2020. It's like they shut that down themselves because they didn't want to do the whole cleaning protocol and all of that. And so I wonder how, if those numbers are recovering in terms of the Airbnb numbers on the island, or, you know, what the status is there.
The increased inventory, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, there's more available, but there's more demand. And then some of the other hotels and some of the inns, like for example, I know the Fort Casey Inn and the Camp Casey Conference Center on Whidbey have, like a week wait between turning around rooms. So in some cases, more of the traditional lodgings aren't able to fill up the same day. They can't just flip a room. They have protocols in place that make it more several days, 48 hours, just depends on their own comfort level or whoever owns them. So in that case, it's Seattle Pacific University that owns them. And so they have set, really stringent standards.
Right. Robert had a question about, does it account, I'm guessing the data, does the data account for seasonal residents like snowbirds?
Dean Runyon does not include them. They have specific, I didn't show you all the charts. So in fact, those would be charts you'd probably want to look at it, where it shows people staying in private home who aren't an AirDNA or Airbnb or VRBO, but people who just come and visit and stay with family and friends. And it's a pretty high percentage actually on both islands that are those people. And I think that those are considered, I think those residents that don't live here full time would fall into that category too.
Right. So any other specific questions for Sherry or the information that was shared in her presentation?
I would love more ideas too on if we were to be awarded or to seek more recovery money, some ideas that you feel would be the most beneficial to you for how we would spend that money. And if it were, we didn't have funding to do tourism related things. So we did small businesses, we helped promote the local businesses here. But I would be curious for your thoughts, and you can just, keep sending them to Jessica as they come up or to me directly. But there could be some opportunities through the Washington Tourism Alliance, for example, who has been seeking some funding from the legislature to do statewide promotion. There might be some more opportunities for us to do more than our normal budget. So we want to make sure we're doing something that you feel is really beneficial, right, to help your business recovery.
And this team is so creative too. I think that I just always want to encourage people that all ideas are welcome, right? Because growing tourism on Camano really helps everybody. It helps our businesses, it helps our local economy, it helps our house prices. So, tourism is part of Camano Island, and anything that we can do to kind of let people know who Camano is. I think there's still a lot of people out there who have no idea that you can drive Camano, or, that a lot of people will call me and ask me when they got to the island. Like they have no idea they got over a bridge. They're thinking they're going over a gigantic bridge, and they're like, I'm waiting for the bridge. Where did I get on the island? So the more we can position
on Camano, Jessica, I was driving around looking for my retirement home several years ago, and we said, look, there's a bridge. Let's go out to that island.
Yep. I mean, it might be fun to like collect some of those stories, right? About why people, I did the same thing. We literally could have lived anywhere between Seattle and the Canadian border. And we drove over the bridge and hit Terry's Corner. And I said, this is it. This is where we need to move. So that could be kind of a fun testimonial too. We do have a bridge, believe it or not.
A couple of thoughts, a couple of things I didn't mention that I want to share with you is that, the power of storytelling and visual storytelling is really important. So, and because of our relationship with the film world, we are doing a couple more programs, and one is coming in September, and they'll be staying on Camano, and it's called Jet Set Travel, and they're doing a 30-minute episode on Whidbey and Camano Islands in both English and Spanish for their channels, and that's exciting. HGTV, I think Jessica remembers how popular Camano became with Island Life was one of the shows, and Beach Hunters and others. So having a really friendly film community as you have is something to think about. What other programs we might want to attract. We hear horror stories of people who have an episodic series that is, reality TV or something, but there's a lot of fiction. There's so much going straight to streaming now. There's just like this desire for lots of new content, and we have such a great setting for filming. So it's something to think about how we might reach out to more.
Yep. Carol just suggested they should film going over the bridge. That is a good idea. This is the bridge.
How you arrive, right?
Yeah, right.
By bridge or private boat.
Yep. And I mean, I even just, Instagram filmed like those quick reels. I mean, all of that now, just video on cell phones. It's the way people are communicating with each other. So the more I would encourage all of you, do quick little videos. I mean, it's what we did at our chamber meeting last month. We talked about that. Just to showcase our area in a fun way.
Yeah, I mean, axe throwing and zip lining and this new boats afloat. And those are also visual and such a beautiful destination that, how can it just feels like no one can compete with us in terms of this beauty. And then the fact that there's so much open space, and that seems to really resonate with people right now is a chance to be in nature really quickly. So, and
especially
their proximity.
Yeah, we don't have to create much. We just have to get outside and film something. I mean, it's all right there in front of us here. So we just have to get that going. So any other questions we have? Thank you, Sherry, and thank you for your dedication to Camano.
Anytime. Happy to come back.
So we've got some announcements. I will share the video with Sherry's contact information and the PowerPoint and the Dean Runyon report. You guys will all get that by email tomorrow. So we have a couple people who want to make some announcements. Janet, would you like to go first?
Well, just to follow up on the last conversation, one of the things I think is so exciting about our community is both our ecotourism and the agritourism that the Christopherson film so well articulates, our artist community. And because Earth Day is April 22nd, I have a town hall. Some of you know I do town halls every single month. This one will focus on our farming community and the work they're doing. We have local farmers as well as some of our conservation district will be talking about regenerative ag. We need to work to protect our rural farmers and the way of life they protect for all of us. And so we'll be lifting up a lot of the work of our local farmers. Unfortunately, Ananda won't be able to join us that day. They had a family commitment, but Rachel Piggott from Island Harvest Farm will be there, as well as some other farmers from the other island. I like saying the other island. So I encourage you guys to join with that, and we need to support our local farms. They're a big part of who we are.
And to tag on to that, Janet, there is should anybody know any farmers, there's a new grant program that's open right now for farmers for, what is it, like if you're like a cidery, there's some different categories, but that application, I believe it's only open till like the 25th of this month. So if anybody needs information about that, I can send that out as well. It is very specific to agritourism and farms. Okay, next, Carol from Movement Arts.
Yeah, I just wanted to let you know I've got some free community events scheduled to do some outdoor yoga. We did it last summer at Camano Commons, and it was really well received. It was so nice to be able to gather outside, and everybody was socially distanced. But you could practice without a mask, which was wonderful. But it was nice because we had the restaurants around and people were, outside. And so we're going to be doing that again this year. And I've got dates scheduled May through September, once a month. And I've been, coordinating with the parks as well, where we do them as kind of donation opportunities for both the food bank and this year we're going to do Casa. We used to donate all of our mat rentals. If you came into the studio and you didn't have a mat, you can rent a mat for $1, and all of that went to Casa. And we in 2019 we had collected like $1,300 for them, and last year all that was shut down. And so I want to do when we do other locations, I want to do Barnum Point. And I was just off on the phone with people at Kama Beach, and sounds like their venue, I'd have to rent it. So now I'm kind of regrouping on that because it's a free event. So I'm trying not to outlay funds. So I might do both events at Barnum Point if I can't just gather at Kama. So,
You could
but yeah,
try
the first one is
Four
going to
Springs.
be. Sorry, what did you say?
Four Springs Preserve might be another place you could try because they have that big outdoor grassy area.
That's true.
And that's county.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I'll look into that. Yeah, I've got a poster ready to go, and so that I'm already going to have to do a little rewrite on that one. But yeah, the first event is May 28th, and we'll do 45 minutes of yoga, and then at 1 o'clock, I've got Andrew Curry's going to do some Tai Chi. So, just trying to get people moving and get people outside. And, if you have visitors, or if you'd like to join us, come on down, bring your mat, bring a towel. So.
Yeah, the donation.
And a donation, yeah. So when it's at the Commons, it'll be a food bank donation, and when it's at a park, it'll be cash or check for Casa. So.
Okay, those sound great. While we're on events, Jennifer, did you want to say something about Center for Wooden Boats? You were talking about at the beginning of the meeting?
Sure. Hi, I'm Jen. I am actually down here in Seattle, but I am also in charge of the Center for Wooden Boats up there on Camano Island. We are bringing back a Mother's Day event. It won't be the public sale like we usually do, but we'll have rowboats that will be free and available for about an hour for one family to be socially distanced from everybody else, but still get out on the water. And we'll have some toy boat building available as well. And we'll get some media out about that just as soon as we have it all figured out.
All right, thank you. It's so exciting to see that some events in some form coming back again. Myra wanted to give a quick PPP update.
Just very briefly, if you have an interest in obtaining PPP funds and you haven't, or if you, I'm sorry, I have a puppy in the background, so I'm fighting for your attention. Or if you are unsure if you qualify for a second round of funding, I'd be happy to help you. It sounds like the funds will not last through the May 28th deadline the SBA set. We have an announcement from them that says likely the funds will run out towards the end of April, beginning of May. So just wanted everybody to know in case you were in.
Thank you, Myra. And I know that puppy's cute, although it's even whining, but still cute. Okay, is there anybody else? I've got some announcements, but was that Carol wanting to say something? You're still muted, Carol.
Sorry, I forgot. We're also going to do some drum circles. And those will all be at Camano Commons. And that's going to be on the full moon in June, July, and August. So I
Perfect
think those
timing.
dates are like June 23rd, July 24th, August 25th, or something like that.
Yep, I got them. They're June 23rd, July 24th, and August 22nd.
22nd, great.
At night, 7 to 8:30 p.m.,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Awesome.
Thank you. So speaking of events, some of you know this because I've been reaching out to you, but we redid our Camano Chamber website this summer during COVID. We took advantage of the time to be able to do that so that we can have more presence for our business owner or members on our website. But we also have a calendar on our site that's available for members to submit events to. So I've been posting the yoga that I just got that up there. So I'm happy to post any events, any information that you want for that would work on a calendar. All you need to do is just email me. You can email me a link to, like, if you have a Facebook event all set up already, you can just send me that link and I'll pull as much as I can. But I really want to just start promoting all of these events that are starting again. The more of us that can share them and get people excited to come, the better. So anytime, let me know if you have an event going on. And speaking of, we moved Beer Brats Biz, which we renamed to Biz Bites Beats, Biz Bites Beats, to August 14th. So it's usually the first Saturday in June. We're hoping we'll be able to have it in August with a little bit more of restrictions lifted so that we can do things like have a beer garden and live music, everything that everyone's looking forward to. So stay tuned on registration for Biz Bites Beats on August 14th. And the other event, Sally Prey asked me to mention, there is a Mother's Day art tour at Camano Commons, May 7th, 8th, and 9th. This is different than the Camano Arts Association tour, which is normally over Mother's Day, but this year is getting moved to June. So the Arts Association tour will happen for one weekend in June, but there will be an art tour at Camano Commons May 7th, 8th, and 9th over Mother's Day as well. So again, exciting to see events happening. Two other things. Mike Nestor, who we all know and love, always comes up with ideas and sometimes drives me a bit bonkers with the amount of ideas he comes up with, but he always comes up with such fabulous ideas. And he came up with an idea to have a Citizen of Good Deeds Award. And so we launched that last month, and anyone can nominate anybody, just any citizen in the community that you feel like is doing good deeds. We will recognize them on social media if they want to be. We'll send them a certificate in the mail. It's a pretty simple gesture, but Mark Schaff, I think is his name. He was the first Citizen of Good Deeds nominated, and he's been collecting trash up and down Camano. Lots of trash he collects, and he just does it because he's a good guy. So there's lots of that going on in this community, and we just want to make sure that those people are recognized, and just in a simple gesture of saying thank you on social media and mailing them a certificate. So that information's on our website. It's just an ongoing program. There's no deadlines. You can nominate someone at any point. You can nominate everyone. You can nominate yourself if you feel like you're a good deed person. And we saw the Gale the Whale, which was designed by Scott Rosenkrantz, who does great work. Scott also designed the Camano Chamber logo that we redid a couple years ago, which we love. And we hadn't put this out there for a while. So I just wanted to remind you that the chamber logo is available for anybody, any chamber members to use. We have a version of it that just says Camano Island and the Easy Island underneath it. And then the graphic on the top, it doesn't. And then we have another version that says the Camano Chamber. But if anyone wants to use that graphic for your business purposes, it's just branding for Camano. So the more that it can get out there, the better. So if you want any of those graphics, just let me know. Other than that, I think I got through my list unless anybody has any questions.
Can I just throw out one more idea? If you're looking for content for social media or maybe an e-newsletter, come to our website and you'll find so much stuff, so many videos and stories and information. And you can always, reach out to Jessica or me directly to get some of that access. There's so much stuff that you don't have to recreate.
No, there's lots of information out there. All right. Well, thank you again, Sherry. Thank you everyone for being here. I'm going to let you go so you can go and enjoy that sunshine in any way that you want today. We personally are doing pizza at Iverson Beach tonight. That's our end of the day treat. So anyone want to join me? That's where we'll be at 5 o'clock. Brooklyn Brothers at Iverson Beach.
On our way.
Yeah. Come on over, Sherry.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Let me join
Bye.
you.